Hi, I'm Paul Feiner, Greenburgh Town Supervisor.
I'm Pauline Mosley. Welcome to our show today.
And you always come up with really good ideas for shows, and you identify outstanding students. And I think today is going to be a great learning experience.
Phenomenal.
So maybe you could tell us a little bit about our guest and what the program is going to be about.
Absolutely. Thank you, Paul. With us today, we're so honored and happy to have Miikko, and I don't want to mess up your last name.
Cascardo. Miikko
Cascardo, who's in 10th grade, goes to Pleasantville High School, and has done a phenomenal science project that we're so happy that he's here to share with our viewing audience today. So, Miikko, would you tell us a little bit about your project and what caused you to get interested in this? And as you see, he won first place in this science fair, so give him a round of applause.
Yeah,
this is just incredible. First place in medicine and health. So congratulations.
Thank you.
We're so happy to have you here to learn more about your phenomenal project.
Thank you, Pauline. So for my project, I'm pretty much just looking at different methods of training AI, and in particular how that can affect medicine, and in particular cardiology. So my project looks at hypertrophic cardiomyopathy, which is a genetic heart disease that shows up very well on MRI scans, which is why I'm utilizing CMR, or cardiac magnetic resonance imaging, in this project to sort of have a data point for this heart disease to be expressed in. So what I'm pretty much going to be doing is I'm going to be taking two AI algorithms and training them in two different ways. One will be just through a normal coding-based training, which is where you would access the algorithm source code, go in and be able to code it in a specific language. I am still trying to find an algorithm for this, but I believe I will be using an algorithm that utilizes the coding language Python. And then for the other algorithm, before I get into this, I just want to provide a little bit of reasoning and how this could be expressed in a simpler way. Imagine you go to ChatGPT, for example, and you teach it or give it some information, and it is able to remember that information. So as of having experience, and since AI is such a growing thing now, especially in medicine, I thought that, okay, could I take this sort of quote-unquote conversational training, or this talkative chatbot training with AI that has memory features, to sort of train it to identify certain abnormalities in certain scans, like, for example, a scan detailing the heart. In this case, it would be MRI, and how that could be used to train AI algorithms to detect different stages of a certain heart disease. So then through that second AI algorithm, I will be training it in that manner, where I will have a chatbot access to it and be able to talk to it and highlight certain abnormalities within those MRI scans, and being able to explain to it using keywording, through that, again, conversational sense, to be able to talk to it and train it, and so that it can be able to identify those abnormalities. And then what I will be doing is that I will be running it through a test where I will pretty much input another type of MRI scan with a similar stage or no presence of the heart disease that I'm looking at all, and then being able to ask it through this sort of verbal chatbot setting, okay, is this specific disease, hypertrophic cardiomyopathy, present? And if so, what stage is it, and what symptoms could be possibly attributed to it? So, and I think that through this research that hasn't really been looked into before, the idea of conversational training of AI, especially in medicine, has not really been tapped into yet. So I think because of this, it will allow for physicians to be able to train AI algorithms easier in their own terms, without having to have someone who is like based on coding AI algorithms sort of entwined into that process, which would effectively eliminate the need for coding of these algorithms in general. This could be applied to many different aspects of medicine other than just cardiology, for example.
Yeah. What got you interested in this? You know, are your parents doctors or involved in coding?
So none of my parents are doctors or involved in this, but I originally had an extreme interest in cardiology when I first went through life science in the 7th grade, and we were learning about the different systems of the body. And we started learning about the cardiovascular system, and I immediately gravitated towards that as something that was like extremely interesting, and I found extremely interesting. And because of that, as time went on, I never really wavered from that interest. And when the time came along for me to participate in the science research program within our school, I decided to tap into that interest and look into something that was relating to cardiology, but I wanted to do something that was new and emerging and didn't have that much data on it yet. So when I was researching different topics that I could possibly look into within cardiology, one of them was the use of artificial intelligence within preventative cardiology or risk prediction. And that is a topic that doesn't really have that much information on it. Like the articles I found only really date back to the past 5 years. So I thought that, okay, this is a new emerging topic. I can look at this and possibly create something new with it based off of this interest that I already have.
This seems to me like, if I was like a teacher in high school, I would probably be intimidated. Do you find that the teachers are able to understand and actually teach you, or are you sort of like above them? And because this is really
It's incredible what he's done.
very, very advanced.
Yeah, so
Science,
I feel
yes.
like that I'm able to be able to present the information that I do collect in the projects that I do make in an understandable way, because a big part that goes into participating in the science fair like this, for example, or doing a PowerPoint presentation, which we did numerous PowerPoint presentations over the course of the year to really fine-tune our presenting skills, was that aspect of presenting in a way where you can explain the data, which can sometimes be extremely complicated to someone who doesn't really have any idea what it means in a simplistic way that the average person can understand. So I felt that learning that ability and fine-tuning that ability really helped in being able to express the information and the data that I was finding in a way that further helped my peers in my classroom and my teachers understand it better.
Do you want to be a doctor or go into science? What's your career goals?
So I do hope to go into cardiology one day, actually, either to become a cardiac surgeon or a just normal cardiologist in general. And because, again, I really haven't wavered from this interest over,
That's
it
great.
has to be about 4 years now that I've had it. And it's really something that I just really find interesting, especially with emerging topics like the use of AI. Medicine is always something that it is advancing and growing, and I thought that being a part of it and really focusing on that one thing that I am truly interested in would be a good way to have that interest do something that you want to do later in your life and have a career that will be
That's
really impactful.
excellent. Miikko, could you explain to us one of the charts? There's so many charts here. Could you stand up and just explain
Yeah, of
one of
course.
them to
So,
us, to our
right
viewing
here-
audience?
Right here, I just want to start off with this
That's good.
reference image here, because I did mention what my heart disease was, which is hypertrophic cardiomyopathy, which in simpler terms is just when the muscles and the valves of the heart thicken, which reduces blood flow around the body, and it can lead to many other cardiac issues or even sudden cardiac death, which is exactly how it sounds like, sudden death that's caused by a cardiac obstruction. And since that blood flow is reduced, it can again be extremely deadly and detrimental. And secondly here, through this scan, which is just a MRI of the heart, it's also known as cardiac magnetic resonance imaging, or abbreviated as CMR. And I decided to use this scan because use this type of scan because it provides image-based data to physicians, and also hypertrophic cardiomyopathy shows up very well on these scans because it is again a thickening of the muscles of the heart, meaning that there is a very visible abnormality, especially in the later stages, that can be seen within these certain scans, which would make it very easy to feed into an algorithm that could identify different stages of this certain condition. So mainly after all of the data that I will collect and going through that entire process of training these algorithms in a specific way to prove that this conversational training is as effective as normal coding-based training, there are a couple different ways that I will collect and present my data. One of them will be using the variables of sensitivity and specificity, which are commonly used variables within science in general, but also in medicine, to prove the effectiveness of, in this case, an AI algorithm or any sort of scan or test that is being done. So sensitivity is pretty much just, in the case of AI algorithms, how well can the AI algorithm actually detect a certain abnormality or a difference within a scan. And then for specificity, it's just how well can the AI algorithm differentiate between a scan that does have an abnormality present and a scan that doesn't have an abnormality present. And furthermore, using this type of graph, which is called a receiving operating characteristics graph, there was another variable brought into play called the area under the receiving operating characteristics curve, which is pretty much just this area under these two lines presented here. Sensitivity and specificity are present on this graph to help create that further data point. And here actually, in this intended results section, these are not actually my results that I have collected yet. I will be collecting them over the summer. But here in the intended results, these are just AI algorithms that have been extremely effective in detecting cardiomyopathies, or in this case, specifically hypertrophic cardiomyopathy. So going back to the idea of the area under the receiving operating characteristics curve, the two variable sensitivity and specificity build into it, and the closer that sensitivity and specificity are to the value of 1, the more accurate the AI algorithm is. And this plays a big role in this graph because the closer they are to 1, the bigger area there is under the curve, meaning that the algorithm is more effective. And furthermore, that variable of AUROC, or area under the receiving operating curve, is expressed in that same data set of that if that value is closer to 1, that means it is more accurate.
I had a question.
Yes.
You won a science fair and you came up with something that could possibly, an idea that could save lives. What happens to your project? Does the science fair reach out to hospitals and the medical, people in the medical field, or do you, are you taking this to the next level? Because it seems like this could be a lifesaver, and it would be sort of a shame if it's just a paper that gathers
Absolutely.
dust.
Yeah, so right now, the science fair that we participated in is a regional science fair, which means that it's only for certain high schools around Westchester, so you have a bunch of different schools participating in it. But next year, there will be another science fair that we participate in, which is called WESF, which is a way more serious science fair that actually can help you get to ICEF, which is actually the international science fair that all countries within the world participate in, and that's sponsored by Intel. So they have regional competitions that are also funded. In this case, it was, for WESF, it's by Regeneron, since Regeneron is pretty much in our backyard. We're very close to where Regeneron is. And those regional competitions help people qualify for ICEF. So
But I'm talking about, let's say, nothing happens with your idea. Could you, on your own, forgetting about the Regeneron, or forgetting about the fair organizers, could you basically reach out to people in the medical field and say, look what I found, could you take a look at this and perhaps it could be implemented?
Yeah, so one of my mentors, as well as Dr. Mosley, is a pediatric cardiologist who lives in Florida. I met him through my grandparents because he is friends with them. But he has been extremely helpful in allowing me to gain information on the heart and all the things that it's involved with in general. And I have sent all my work and all the research I've done and communicated with him constantly. And he has found that since he has worked in this field for many years, and he realizes that AI is emerging slowly and is becoming more and more implemented over time, that something like this could be extremely impactful. But I haven't really been able to be able to push this enough to reach out to other hospitals or physicians or other people yet, other than him, because he is, again, my mentor. But I hope that as time goes on, and once I actually do collect this data during the summer, and hopefully if my hypothesis is correct, I will be able to have a broader outreach and actually be able to say, I collected this data, I did this work, this is actually factually correct now off of the study I've done. And then I have more credible evidence that I could use to push this and say that, hey, this is something that could be very effective in making the training of AI algorithms easier and saving many lives in a way more simpler way.
Right. It would be interesting if you reached out also to local hospitals and asked them if they
Absolutely.
would be willing to follow up on this or experiment with this or write for some of the medical journals, write like an opinion article, because again, the sooner some of these life-saving initiatives could be implemented, the sooner, the better the chances are that more lives are going to be saved. Everything in science takes forever. And I think this is like so impressive. I'm sort of, you're the third student we've interacted with recently who have won science fairs, and it's so impressive because
incredible.
the level of intelligence is way above my level.
Same here.
What advice would you have for parents who are sort of hoping that their kids will be like you?
So I feel like
how did your parents treat you when you were growing up? Did they make you study? Did they, when you had the dinners, did they talk only smart?
Yeah. So my parents definitely did stress that school was something important, and I found it to be something important. I never really wavered from the fact that getting an education and being able to use that information that you do learn to advance your own mind is a privilege and something that a lot of people don't get to have. But especially with programs like the science research program that we do have in our school, which is just like the next level of education, it's really something that is really great to participate in. And sometimes I feel like that kids might think that, oh, it's too complicated, there's too much work that goes into it. And that was actually a major reason why a bunch of people did not participate in the science research program in our school, because it was a lot of work. This year was a lot of work on us being able to build these projects and find our presentation skills and learn about data collection, all that stuff. But in the end, it really does pay off. And furthermore, science is something that is so broad. There are so many different things that you can look into and so many different things that you can do, whether it be social science, molecular biology, cell biology, medicine and health, environmental science, all these different aspects that wrap into it. And it's very easy for someone to just overlook them and think that this is possibly too hard. But as time goes on, we're going to, our generation, or people that are like in my position now, are going to be the people who are running the world. So we need to be able to make breakthroughs and keep advancing, and science is the way that we do that, not only in medicine and health, because that is something important, but in every aspect of it. So that's why I believe that it is something that is extremely important for kids to get interested in. And even though it is a lot of work, I'm not like putting down the fact that it is a lot of work. It is, but in the end, it really does pay off, and you can really create something amazing.
So thank you, Miikko. So you mentioned in 7th grade that your teacher exposed you to biology and the heart, and that's where your passion just took off.
Yes.
So can you explain that, like, just like Paul was saying, like, who was this 7th grade teacher, and how did she, expose? I'm sure all of us have taken biology, and we all have sat through science classes, and some students might say, oh, this is so boring, I don't really like this. But in your case, you became passionate about this, really passionate about this.
Yeah, so a lot of people, like as you were just saying about it was boring, a lot of people did think that at the time. It was really just based off of people thought it was like a drag. People really didn't enjoy it. But my 7th grade science teacher, Mr. Levine, even though he didn't really do much directly to expose me to like biology or cardiology or anything in that in general, like having that opportunity to have a teacher that is involved in his teaching or does teach in a way that is interactive and like expressionate, and a teacher that you can remember, allows it so that students are more interested. And I feel like that, especially in science, being the broad field that it is, if you don't have a teacher who is really like in depth and being able to socialize well with the students and being able to create activities that are fun and being able to teach in a way that's impactful, that passion or like gravitation towards science or any subject in general can be sort of diminished.
Do you stay in touch with that teacher?
Not much, actually. I wish I talked to him more. I really have not really spoke to him since 7th grade, but he really did kickstart that love for cardiology that I do have, and love for medicine in general that I've gravitated towards.
What colleges do you think you'll apply to?
So the main college I want to go to, the one that I've really looked at and thought that, oh wow, this is really something I want to do, is McGill, which is in Montreal and in Canada, and it is a very good medical school up there, and they have very good pre-med programs, and I thought that I've been up to Canada before, and I've been to Montreal. The city's very nice. I really do enjoy being up there. We went skiing up there a couple times. It's a very nice area, and I think that having a school that is close to there, or being in that like general area where I would enjoy living in a city and being able to commute to school through walking and being able to pursue my passion in that way, it would be able to have a greater impact on just my education in general.
That's great. And do you sometimes dream of winning a Nobel Prize or something? Is that?
I mean, I haven't really thought like that far in the future yet, but the main thing that I hope to do, and this is really, I more came to the realization of this after I started to become interested in cardiology and just medicine in general, is that like I really do want to make an impact on someone's life, and I feel like that I can do that through my interest in science, and that being able to be that factor, being able to be that person that goes ahead and does save someone's life, or does provide them care, or does give them sort of information that could possibly lead even in the future to them saying, okay, this doctor, he gave me information on this, it's progressed to something else. Being able to have that impact on that person's life, and then being able to think that, oh, yeah, he was helpful and he helped save me, and being able to do that and be there for another person, that aspect is something
President
really
Trump it seems to be cutting funds for research. Is that something that, medical research, is that something that concerns you? And do you feel that even if the research funds are cut, that science will still be able to flourish? Because it seems to me that we're losing some great minds and great opportunities and advances.
Yeah, I do think that that's definitely not a good thing, that science and funding towards those programs is being cut. Especially, like, I remember I was looking at something into this. There were cuts being done at the National Institute of Health, which is obviously based on health science around the nation, and that is something extremely important based on, even in the past 5 years, we've had COVID-19, which was a detrimental disease to everyone around the world. And without the fast action of being able to develop that vaccine, a unknown large number of lives were saved because that vaccine was developed in that short period of time. And that was due to research and speed, and people that knew what they were doing and had a passion in this, and being able to crack down and actually produce something that would be able to save someone's life.
Right. So thank you so much, Miikko. So if there's someone in our listening audience, we hope a cardiologist or anyone in the medical field, like Paul is saying, how can they reach and contact you if they're interested in taking a look of a deeper dive into the research that you've done, or maybe they want to offer you some of their scans or work alongside you, because this is just such incredible work? How could they reach you? Could you just tell our audience how they can contact
probably
you?
through my email would be the best way, which is miikko@cascardo.com, MIIKKO ampersand CASCARDO.com. And that's the main email that I look at for everything. And if there is someone watching that would be able to assist me in my studies, or just give me any sort of information at all that I could use to grow and further develop this work that I'm doing, that would be greatly appreciated. And I would love to be able to communicate with you on anything on the topic of that.
So this summer you mentioned that you're going to be doing some follow-up work. Could you tell us what your plans are?
Yeah, so what I'm going to be doing is that I'm actually going to be doing the study that I am presenting through this poster, where I'm going to be collecting that data, training those AI algorithms, and getting those scans of the heart and being able to train it in that way. And after doing all this testing over the summer, which I will be able to do from my home computer, which is, I built the study in this way so that I could do it in my own home through my computer, so there was not any logistical stuff that would go into it based on like I would have to go to a lab. It's a complex study. I would have to get possible funding for this. That could be a lot of money. This is something that I can do in my own home since I do have access to a computer and I can get the AI algorithms that I need and upload those images in a way that is effective. So after I get that, the data that I will collect from that study will be used to write another paper later next year into my junior year, which will eventually be presented at that West F Fair that I was talking about before. And that final project where I've actually been able to construct and build a project based on not just intended research, but not just intended results, but actual results that I formulated, will be able to push forward in my building of a study and being able to share that with other people.
Did you ever think of like just skipping high school and going right to college, or did any of your counselors at high school say, you know what, sorry, you're above everybody else, and go right?
Just go to college.
Right to McGill.
Yeah, right.
You're right to medical school. Forget college also.
Well, I do think that the experiences in high school in regards to education are extremely important. So I don't think I want to make that jump yet. That would be a pretty big jump. But especially participating in this program that I have, I wouldn't have really been able to do it without the help of my teachers and being able to have people that were in a similar situation as me in the science research program by my side, sort of being able to grow closer with them and communicate with them on similar things that we were doing based on the work. We were all doing the same work, just on different topics, so being able to communicate with them through that and being able to gain closer connections is something that I would not give up for anything.
Excellent. Is your paper on any website?
No, not yet, because I haven't really finalized any of the research yet, and I haven't done that research yet. But hopefully there is a chance, and I know people in my school that actually do get their works published on certain journal article websites. So I hope that if there is some possibility that after I collect this data and if it does prove to be effective and accurate, that hopefully it can expand to a broader outreach and maybe even be posted on one of those websites that does encompass medical journals.
It's so impressive.
So impressive.
And I really think you're going to save lots of lives over the years, and I think that we're so lucky. The human race is lucky,
We're lucky,
not only
very
Greenburgh,
lucky.
to have people like you who are going to make advances. So, are you optimistic about the future of health? Like, do you feel that, say, 10 years from now, people may not have heart attack?
So I do think that with developments such as AI in this, which I have looked at articles detailing how AI has been used to predict heart attacks and other conditions. So I hope that if the right people are in the right position and the smart people now are able to get into positions that are impactful later through good education and certain opportunities that are provided to them, that would allow for a future where death rates through cardiac conditions are down and any sort of health condition are down, and being able to have a future where we are more medically knowledgeable about what's going on within our bodies, and also just being able to extend our lives and being able to lead healthier lives overall.
Well, this is really great. We've run out of time, and I want to thank you for joining us today. This was so interesting.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks.